Blessed be everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the moons, the emotions of the moon and working with the lunar cycle. But before we do, I'm Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path and Tapping into Abundance. And if you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice but you haven't got a clue, have a look at my free video called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. The link is in the description field below this video. It's been a while since I've done any videos on the moon. I think I've probably only done one or two on the moon. And the moon is a very significant energy, a very significant astrological body for witches. And we're kind of famous for it, even dancing at the full moon, and a lot of the myths around witches and the full moon are there as well. But I wanted to talk about the whole lunar cycle and about how we can merge with the cycle to help us in our lives, and also to just sink more into the energies that are around us. So let's start with the dark moon. So when we talk about the dark moon, this is about a 3-day period when you can't visually see the moon in the sky. And at the dark moon time, when you look for the new moon and you look for the times online to see when the new moon is, when they say it's the new moon, it's actually more like the dark moon, because it might be the new moon because the moon's just changing into that growth cycle, but you're still not going to be able to see it in the sky. And so from a magical point of view, we tend to talk more about the new moon for working magic as being when you start to see that sliver in the sky. The dark moon is like the 3 days leading up to the new moon when it's very dark. And traditionally, it's a time when we look to spending time in reflection. I was taught by my high priest that it was like the witch's magical holiday. You didn't do any magic during the dark moon. And a lot of the reason for that is just simply because the energy that you may notice within yourself at the dark moon time is often very low. Concentration may even be low. You may feel withdrawn. You may feel like being more introspective with yourself. You may feel like your energy is low. You don't feel like really putting in the energy you need to put in for spell work, or even planning spell work for that matter. You may just want to hibernate for a few days. It's a great time for reflection, journaling, looking at the month that's just happened, what you've done that month, and where you are right now. Looking at your successes, looking at where you could improve things. Just reflecting. Reflecting on how you feel. Reflecting on what you've achieved and how that's made you feel. Reflecting on what you didn't achieve and how you feel about that. And looking at investigating different ways that you can change the way that you feel, which is very much an inside job, and I talk about that with shadow work. What do you really want from life? Things that you can reflect on. What do you really want? Deep down inside your very being, what do you really, 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 really want? And sometimes the easiest way to know what that really, really, really want is to imagine you have everything that you could possibly imagine that you need physically. So you've got all the money you need, you've got the shelter you need, you've got the love in your life that you need, you've got everything you need. What is it you really, 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 really want? And use the dark moon time to investigate all of that kind of stuff. It's a great time for divination as well, to help you with that inner work, that shadow work, and give you more clarity about maybe what it is that you really do want. So after the dark moon phase, you have the new moon phase. New moon phase, hard to say. And that is about growth. It's when the moon is starting to grow. It's starting to get bigger. The energy's picking up. You may still find at the very beginning of the new moon cycle, you still feel a bit low on energy. It's not necessarily a time to do spell work, but if you're feeling that way, you can certainly leave any of your spell work to a few days later, particularly when you see the moon in the sky, because you may still feel a little low energy at the new moon because it's only just started to pick up, and so it's going to take a few days for it to really, for that energy to start going. So what you can do at the new moon phase, if it's right at the very beginning of the new moon, is just look at what are you inspired to do for this month ahead. Inspiration. And you would have gotten some of this from your dark moon reflection. So look at the new moon as a time of inspiration, a time for planting seeds. And it might just be planting the seeds mentally. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to start doing your spell work straight away. It could just be mentally planting your seeds, emotionally planting your seeds, planning ahead, what are you going to do this month? When are you going to do it? And even planning your spells at the new moon. For what am I wanting to bring in this month? And use that time for that inspiration and that planning, so that when it starts to wax and it gets bigger, so maybe it might be 3 days later, it might be 5 days later, you may find that within yourself, you're starting to pick up energy, you're starting to be more motivated, you're starting to feel more energetic, you're wanting to get in and do things at that phase. You may find that you're more productive and you're more creative at that time. And that would be the time to do your growth spells, if that's where your energy is. Some people like to do growth spells right at the beginning of the new moon, and that's great if you've got the energy. There's no harm in doing that. But from an energetic point of view, a lot of people don't start to pick up until a few days later. So use that time of the waxing moon phase between the new moon and the full moon, which is the moon is growing, to do your spell work, to bring things into you for growth, any area of your life you're wanting to see more results in from a growth perspective or a bringing in perspective. Do it during the waxing moon. Then you're going to get to the full moon. And this is when the moon is really at her peak of energy. And you've got about 3 days, the day before the full moon and then the day after, to be able to do work with the full moon. And this is big energy. So if you've got a big goal and you want it to happen pretty fast, then the full moon is a good moon energy to do spell work. And it's a great energy to really put a lot of force behind what it is that you're wanting to achieve. Now, some people do feel a bit scattered at a full moon. Some people find it very difficult to focus or concentrate at a full moon. It is a very hyper type of energy. So it can demand that you really try to rein your focus and concentration in just for the time and the duration that you're doing that spell work, if you're going to use the full moon to do spell work. Then after the full moon, it starts to wane. So this is where she starts to decrease in power again. So your waning phase, you may find that you're starting to wane a bit in energy and motivation. You're starting to go back into that sense of introspection and withdrawal again. And this may continue right up until the dark moon. So when you're in a waning phase, go with the flow. Go with the energy of the waning phase. Right at the very beginning of the new moon, when you're doing your planning, you can plan when to do your growth stuff and when to do your sort of cleansing and cleaning and tying up of loose ends stuff, which is the waning moon phase. So what do you want to cleanse? What do you want to clean? What things need to be, tied up and finished in your life at that time? It's a good time maybe to do some spring cleaning around the house, to maybe do some fix-it jobs like renovations. It's a good time to let go of things. So if you've got to declutter, do some decluttering. Tying up loose ends, projects maybe that you really wanted to complete but you haven't got around to completing, complete them on a waning moon. It's the energy of completion and completing. So focus on that energy for just letting go. And if you have spell work that you want to do where you need to let something go, so maybe you're wanting to banish something or a situation, then that's a good time to do your banishing work as well during the waning moon cycle. And then you get all the way down to the dark moon, which again is the witch's magical holiday for a lot of people, and that's definitely something that I was taught by my high priest. We go through the whole working with the moon in the Mystery Witch School 101 course. There's a whole module dedicated to working with the moon. So that's the new moon, the dark moon, and the full moon. So if you want to learn Wicca and witchcraft with me, have a look at the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. It's a whole year of learning the craft with me, starting with energy work, starting right from the very beginning, month by month, introducing new topics, introducing skills and learnings that are meant to complement and build on the information and the practices that you've done in the modules previously, because the whole course is about practicing the craft. It's not about reading about it. It's actually to help you bring it into your life, practice it in a way that gives your life meaning so that it becomes part of who you are every day. And that's what a lot of witches are looking for. They're looking for a daily practice, looking for a way of bringing the craft into your life as a practice, not just something that you read about, but bringing it into a practice to help you bring more meaning into your life, to give you more connection and love with yourself. So if you're interested in doing that, have a look at the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. The link is in the description field below this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com. Blessed be.